Wimbledon increases its prize money. Carlos Alcaraz could earn €1 million more than at Roland Garros. On June 30th, the Wimbledon tournament, the third Grand Slam of the season, will begin. The champions will receive a millionaire prize higher than last season, when Carlos Alcaraz defeated Novak Djokovic and pocketed around €3.2 million. The tournament announced on Thursday the increase in total prize money to €62.8 million, 7% more than last year and double what was awarded in 2015. The chair of the All England Tennis Club, Deborah Jevons, provided details of the 2025 edition in a press conference, highlighting this progression in prize increases. Moreover, Wimbledon will award €3.5 million to its champions, an 11% increase from what Carlos Alcaraz and Barbora Krejcikova earned last year. This prize is €1 million more than what, for example, Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff earned for winning Roland Garros just a few days ago. In addition, players competing in the first round of the tournament will receive £66,000, €77,500, which is 10% more than last year. The challenge in tennis is that players don't get the rest they want, and injuries are constantly increasing, something that is often discussed. We have always said that, as Wimbledon, we are willing to collaborate and talk with the tours to try to find solutions, and that door remains open, she said, emphasizing not just the financial effort. Additionally, the singles finals are being moved from 2 p.m., local time, on the final weekend to 4 p.m., local time, and line judges will be permanently replaced by a live electronic line calling system, a decision Roland Garros resisted last month. On another note, Wimbledon's biggest project remains the proposed expansion into neighboring Wimbledon Park, which would add 39 more grass courts, but it is currently embroiled in legal disputes. Although a construction permit has been granted, a local protest group has filed a judicial review, which will be heard in the High Court during the tournament's second week. Nadal responds to Alcaraz for being his inspiration and comeback, "If he's already able to think of me." Rafa Nadal spoke about the recent Roland Garros final, where Carlos Alcaraz came back from 2 sets down against Jannik Sinner, at the charity golf tournament The Battle of the Stars in support of ALS patients. For the 14-time champion, it was a historic match, and he felt flattered that the Mercian thought of him, "If he's already able to think of me." The edition of Roland Garros that paid tribute to Rafa Nadal, who retired at the end of last year, could not have ended better for Spanish tennis, with Carlos Alcaraz repeating his title after an epic comeback in a nearly impossible match against Jannik Sinner. A special tribute to the 14-time winner of the Musketeers Cup, who spoke about the final at a charity golf event in Mallorca, where he was playing alongside, among others, his uncle Tony. Nadal did not hesitate to praise what he called a historic match between Alcaraz and Sinner. "It really was a spectacular, very emotional ending. To finish with the trophy in his arms after being so close to losing it to Jannik, I'm very happy for him," said the former player from the Balearic Islands. He also appreciated Alcaraz's words about drawing inspiration from him to turn the match around. "I haven't seen it, but if he's already capable of thinking of me in that moment, I'm very happy for him." Players who are consistently above the rest, who are proving to be great champions, and who are carving their own path. That's the reality. "I believe tennis is in good hands," referring to how the new generation led by Alcaraz and Sinner has taken over from the Big Three as the most dominant players on the ATP Tour. The 22-time Grand Slam champion experienced the first edition he missed since debuting in 2005 as just another spectator. For Rafa, "It was nice to see a place that has been so important in my sporting life and just enjoy the tennis. This is my new reality," without thinking beyond that, showing he didn't miss playing in the tournament where he has made history more than anywhere else. Wimbledon to offer the largest cash prize in Grand Slam history. The All England Club will award a record cash prize to the men's and women's singles champions. With the legendary Roland Garros final between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz still fresh in tennis fans' minds, the third Grand Slam of the season is just around the corner. Wimbledon will be held from June 30th to July 13th at the iconic All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, and Carlos Alcaraz will aim for his third crown at the so-called Cathedral of Tennis after winning the title in the last 2 seasons, 2023 and 2024. The London Grand Slam has been played since 1877 and was only suspended during the 2 World Wars, 1915 to 1918 and 1940 to 1945, and the COVID-19 pandemic, 2020. With just over half a month before the third major of the season begins, the prize money for the men's and women's singles winners is already known. The British Grand Slam will award £3 million, €3.5 million, to the champions in the 2025 edition, representing an 11% increase from last year and the highest prize ever awarded by a Grand Slam. To put this into perspective, Carlos Alcaraz received €2.55 million for winning his second Roland Garros last Sunday, nearly €1 million less than what he would take home if he wins Wimbledon for the third time in his career. In total, the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club will distribute £53.5 million, €62.8 million, in prize money, a 7% increase from the 2024 edition and double the amount from 10 years ago. Additionally, players competing in the first round will earn £66,000, €77,500, 10% more than last year. The draw for the Wimbledon main draw in both men's and women's categories will be held on June 27. Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz will enter as seeds number 1 and number 2 respectively, meaning they could only face each other in a potential final on Sunday, July 13. Carlos Alcaraz and Djokovic at risk. The grass court season has begun, and both the Spanish and Serbian players, along with Lorenzo Musetti, are under pressure, as they earned the most points during last year's swing. Therefore, all three will be closely watching their ATP ranking rivals. Carlos Alcaraz earned 2,050 points last season, 2,000 of which came from winning Wimbledon. Djokovic earned 1,300, 1,200 from reaching the final. As a result, both players face pressure to defend their points in this year's tournaments, needing to match or exceed last year's performances to avoid dropping in the rankings. Carlos must win Wimbledon again and reach beyond the third round at Queen's, his 2024 result. Djokovic must at least reach the Wimbledon final again to avoid losing his current number 5 ranking. Musetti, the third highest point scorer on grass last year with 1,230, 720 from reaching the Wimbledon semifinals, also needs to defend his strong performance. On the other hand, within the top 10, players like Holger Rune, only 200 points, Jack Draper and Alexander Zverev, 400 each, and Taylor Fritz and Alex de Minaur, 650 each, have better chances of gaining points during the grass season. Ferrero's warning to Alcaraz after winning Roland Garros: "Remember, you're a tennis player?" Juan Carlos Ferrero, former world number 1 and Carlos Alcaraz's coach, spoke to El Larguero on Cadena Ser following the Mercians' victory at Roland Garros, his second trophy in Paris. Asked about Alcaraz's current whereabouts after such a rare feat, Ferrero laughed. Ferrero's laughter says it all. "He's disconnecting, said the Mercians coach while chuckling with Manu Carreño. He then spoke about what he told Carlitos after the final. "Yesterday I told him to enjoy himself, that he deserved it, but to remember that he's a tennis player at all times. We knew these days would come." Ferrero defended Alcaraz, who had previously been criticized for his disconnections or his lifestyle. "We already know how he is, and it works for him. Then he comes back mentally refreshed. It's not even about partying. It's about disconnecting, being with his friends, not thinking about tennis, being a normal 22-year-old, in his own way, and then coming back to work with motivation and focus." Ferrero responded to critics following the release of Alcaraz's documentary, saying, "Of course people talk. When the documentary came out, we knew there'd be negative comments, especially if he lost. If he had lost in Paris, they would have said go prepare in Ibiza now." Regarding Alcaraz's training, "We don't train high volume. If a session lasts 2 hours, it has to be high quality. You improve more that way than with 4 hours of hitting sloppy shots. I've always believed that. Especially given how demanding the circuit is. The way we train has changed. I used to train way more. 2 sessions a day, 5-set Masters 1000s and ATP 500s, very demanding. Now, seeing that Carlos has the quality to arrive at tournaments well prepared, I opted for quality over quantity." Alcaraz responds to critics: "I like partying. But tennis comes first." The crowd at Philippe Chatrier is caught in a seemingly endless déjà vu, from Rafa Nadal, the outgoing king, to Carlos Alcaraz, the rising prince. The Mercians' performance in Paris was commanding. Against Sinner, his biggest rival, and in their first Grand Slam final. Thus, he won his second Roland Garros and is now the second Spanish player with the most Musketeers Cups. "This has been the most exciting match I've played so far, without a doubt. The match had everything, great moments and terrible ones. I'm very happy and proud of how I handled everything. It wasn't easy. It's the first time I've come back from 2 sets down. I don't think there was a better occasion to do it than in a Grand Slam final," he said after the match. Alcaraz silenced all criticism with his triumph at Roland Garros. The criticism came after the release of his documentary before the Mutua Madrid Open, which portrayed him as he is. Many saw his desire to enjoy life alongside competing as a mistake. "He's not going to win Grand Slam staying out until 7 a.m., said Bautista. His victory at Philippe Chatrier reflects the Merchant's work ethic and that of his entire team. "I think people didn't get it," Alcaraz said, referring to the documentary. "I like to go out and party, like any 21 or 22-year-old. But I put tennis first. I'm a professional," said Carlitos, whose win in Paris backs his words. Alcaraz clearly has the mental edge over Sinner. Not just because of Sunday's match, but also based on the Italian's recent record. Of his last 35 matches, he's lost just 3, all to Alcaraz. The 2 most recent were on clay, in Rome and Roland Garros finals, and the third on hard court in Beijing. He's lost 5 straight against the Spaniard. Here's how much money Carlos Alcaraz earned for his Roland Garros win and how much he'll pay in taxes. The Merchant took home the biggest prize in the tournament's history, but he pays taxes in Spain, and the tax agency will take a significant portion. Carlos Alcaraz made history at Roland Garros after defeating Jannik Sinner in an epic final that lasted over 5 hours, the longest in the tournament's history. The Merchant prevailed in an intense 4-6, 6-7, 4, 6-4, 7-6, 3, and 7-6, 2 match, coming back from 2 sets down and cementing his place among the sport's elite. Beyond the trophy and fame, the win comes with a substantial financial reward and a hefty tax bill. Roland Garros organizers announced that the 2025 winners would receive €2.55 million, the largest prize in tournament history, significantly higher than last year's €2.4 million. The increase also reflects prize parity between the men's and women's events. After his win on Philippe Chatrier, Alcaraz received a prize worthy of tennis's biggest stars. However, a significant part of that money must go to taxes, as is the case for all professional athletes. Despite Roland Garros being held in Paris, Alcaraz must pay taxes in Spain on the prize money. According to tax advisory firm TaxDown, Alcaraz must declare the full amount in his country of residence, meaning Spain will apply an approximate tax rate of 47.5%, a combination of national and regional, Murcia, rates. Applying this rate, the real amount Alcaraz would receive after taxes is almost cut in half. If experts estimate that he lost nearly half of the €985,030 he earned in Rome to taxes, the Paris scenario is similar but on a larger scale. From the €2.55 million prize, around $1.34 million would go to the player, and about $1.21 million to the Spanish tax agency. It's worth noting that Spain's tax impact varies by region. For example, if Alcaraz declared residence in Madrid, the regional rate would be lower.